basically started off as a percussion ensemble, not making any original music or anything. We were kind of playing other people's pieces and stuff. After a while, after about a year, we decided that we kind of wanted to do our own original music, and so we slowly developed our sound.
A lot of what we do is cross-pollination and taking ideas from classical music and putting them in rock music, and likewise from rock music into classical music. We sort of started as, a classical composer might, where they would just write out pieces fully, like notate them and present them to players. And then over the course of the band, we've just turned into more of a rock band and just sitting in a room together and writing music together. We all met at Indiana University, but we all recently moved to Philadelphia. We were sort of like too much of a square peg in a round hole out in Indiana. We were just like this random, random electronic band amongst a whole bunch of acoustic singer-songwriters.
We always knew that what we were going to try to do was going to be a little outside of what everybody else was doing. And there's been so many gigs that we're like, I don't know if this is going to work. Like, they're pretty, punk rock.
Yeah.
And we're gonna do our thing, but it always works out. Even though we're concerned with melody because we do have melodic instruments, it's a lot about sounds that we can get, and interesting sounds that people haven't heard before, or maybe combinations of sounds that people haven't heard before. We always go to Goodwill or something and take a mallet and hit a bunch of different bowls, trying not to look super weird while we're going.
We always look weird.
Oh, this one.
And percussion is sort of every instrument that doesn't fall nicely into another category just is basically a percussion instrument. So bottles or glasses or whatever, that sort of just gets dumped on a percussion, which is awesome for us because that sort of just gives us a lot of freedom to do whatever.
You wouldn't normally consider a keyboard a percussion instrument, but it kind of is, I don't really play the keyboard like a keyboardist would, playing a lot of right hand, fast fingers and stuff. I'm just kind of chunking away at chords, but that's just kind of how I see that instrument. We don't have song, we don't have people singing. So you have to take out the lyrical element because we just don't have that.
Whenever, a band has a singer and they're singing lyrics, they're sort of forcing you to think about the song. I mean, the lyrics are telling you exactly what they're feeling, and instrumental music can be a nice break from that because it sort of lets the listener just think about whatever they want to think about. You're not being told these are the lyrics, this is what this song's about, and you should think this too. If it evokes an emotion for you, great. It might not necessarily be the one that we thought of, but that doesn't matter.
I played in an opera maybe 2 years ago that I played maybe 5-6 things over the course of 3 hours. So I fell asleep in the second act or something. We do get to play a lot more, which is fun because we want to play. You don't want to just play a cymbal and then sit down for 40 minutes. When you have so much gear, you can become like a child in a candy shop and, go crazy. We're going to play that, and then we're going to play that, and then I'm going to hold 5 mallets here, and then, try to play everything.
It's let's not just so we can have fun while playing this live.
Right.
It's I could be playing this drum and that bell and that cymbal pad at the same time, but you would be trying so hard to do that it would take the like, energy. You would be focusing too hard. So we still try and keep the songs like fun to play.
We feel like if we're not at that point, then the audience feels like we're thinking too hard about our music.
We can't look like we're, super rigid and focused on playing everything perfectly. I really enjoy, giving an emotion to the audience. And so if that emotion is being rigid and focused and not having fun, then there's no point.
I think it's because we're percussionists and, we spend our whole life thinking about like grooves and stuff, that all the songs we try to make them feel good, in your body. When it feels good to us and we're like getting into it, we're having fun, everybody's like, man, I'm like feeling it. Because I can sometimes go to a concert and like be bobbing my head and I'm like, this is a little too fast for me to be bobbing my head. I'm not like getting into like the song.
There's something like inherently impactful and energetic about drums, and just like, if we're just like clanking on rims, it can be loud and fun, and like drums are always the thing that get people moving, and it's fun having three of us that could potentially do that.
We found that some of the most lively and enjoyable parts of live shows are when we find a place in a song for just all of us to be playing drums and just rocking out. And in my head, it's like, oh, maybe that's too one-sided. And then we play it live and everybody's super into it.
When we started off, not like started off, but like kind of maybe a year and a half ago or so, when we were like starting to put more electronic elements into our stuff, there was a learning curve for getting all that stuff to work all the time.
There would kind of be one fewer electronic mishap per show. Starting at like 100,
right,
and then moving your way down.
It's always a great feeling when you like go to hit something that's supposed to be one sound and an entirely unrelated sound comes out, which has happened before.
Or like...
no sound comes out.
Or no sound. That's usually what happens.
There was a song that I remember just like every time I just like come in on a big piano and like that's the song, like it starts there. And like I'd like get ready and like no sound. And I'm like, oh, this sucks. But yeah, so there was a learning curve for all that stuff. That was the worst. This new age that we're living in kind of makes it easier for a wider diversity of music to be popular. That's optimistic,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and in terms of genre, like there's a ton of people that are doing this, a similar thing that we're doing, which is that they're classical musicians that are also influenced by other things. And so there are like, people that make hip hop that's influenced by classical music and rock that's influenced by classical music. And there's just a lot of fusion of different genres, and I feel like there's more of a scene for that than ever now, which is really, really cool. And I can see that going so many different places in the future.
Every genre is kind of simultaneously progressing in different directions. It's just nice that in every genre, there's a lot of innovation and a lot of creative people that are messing things up.
And now you must all explain why you hate what you hate about each other. No, I'm kidding.
Oh, I was
Evan, you're
already-
too tall compared to the rest of us.
All of our band pictures turn out like shit because you're too tall.
You have too many blue button-up shirts.
That's true.
That's a real problem.
I'm trying to be better.